I am slowly but surely running out of funds, and my debts are catching up to me. Like any completely sane person, I could just take my vast arsenal of expensive sci-fi toys and force more fortunate people to give me their credits. However, I have found a much better long-term solution. There are many different animal species in this universe, and being myself, I obviously have to exploit them. What better way to do this than by starting my own safari business? The safety of my customers is my highest priority, and before any of you join me on this exciting adventure, I have decided to show and teach you how to deal with all of these future meals. As I was exploring the concept, it appears that some people don't really like my idea.
Do you perhaps think yourself on safari? We are here to capture and preserve.
To avoid any legal issues, from now on you can safely assume that I am talking about conservation. In order to go on this journey, you need to fulfill a couple of requirements. There are 3 prominent hunting locations: Orb Valleys, Plains of Eidolon, and Cambion Drift. These locations are very different, but when it comes to our conservation efforts, the same rules apply to all of them. The first requirement you must follow is to get a hunting rifle. Personally, I don't see anything wrong with taking a mortar cannon to really elevate your hunting experience. But I assume you would want some trophies as proof of your safari adventures. Since mortars don't seem to leave any proof of existence, you'll need something much more suitable. A tranquilizer rifle can be bought relatively cheaply either on Fortuna or Necrolisk. I searched all over Cetus for a merchant that would sell me this rifle, but it appears that these people are unable to understand the concept of a mechanically propelled fast-moving projectile. The second very important requirement is to get ecolures. Even though some of these animals can be found roaming the wilderness, you will generally want to track them down and use the old-fashioned method. To perform this procedure, you will need ecolures. These devices can be obtained from merchants in their respective locations. Keep in mind that each different animal species requires its own lure, and some of these may be locked behind syndicate standing. I will explain how to use the lures later, so don't worry. These 2 are hard requirements. The rest of them are optional. While there are other methods for capturing animals, I strongly advise you to get these items. Third, let's talk about pheromones. Before we embark on our hunting trip, you should know that each animal species comes in 3 breeds or variations. Some breeds are less common than others. You can use these pheromones to attract the less common variants. Just like ecolures, each species has its own specific pheromones. The last requirement revolves around which Warframe to choose. I won't lie to you, any Warframe can get the job done. However, considering the nature of our objective and the need to remain hidden, Warframes with natural stealth abilities are particularly effective for hunting. Frames like Ash or Loki can work, but the absolute best Warframe for hunting is Ivara. This frame is far superior to any other when it comes to hunting. I personally believe there is no better frame for this purpose. The downside to Ivara is that obtaining her requires completing some of the most challenging mission types available, specifically spy missions. To make matters worse, the missions that drop Ivara parts are scattered throughout space. I have Ivara myself, but after closer inspection, this could be a problem. There is no specific build required, but I recommend having a lot of energy and focusing on her third ability. As mentioned before, stealth is crucial, and the longer you can stay hidden, the better. Even though my Ivara is not in top condition, I have found a simple solution. Ivara's younger sister is ready for the mission ahead, and thanks to the wonders of plastic surgery, I can transform this into this. Just like Ivara, but better. With all that said, we can finally get started. Due to the nature of our adventure, I will cover each location and species separately. The hunting process usually begins with finding an animal trail. Once you locate a trail, you can use your ecolure to attract the unsuspecting dinner. After spotting the animal, you put it to sleep and then proceed to call in for recovery. Keep in mind that the process is identical for every animal, so I won't go over every single detail. Hopefully during this process I will share some useful tips. The first location I'll discuss is orb valleys. The best way to start hunting is by equipping your hunting rifle. When you hold your rifle, you'll see several icons on the map, each representing a different animal tracking point. The nice thing is that you can hold the hunting rifle even while using arching. Once you decide which animal you want to hunt, you can mark its location with a waypoint. This step is quite logical. After you reach your designated waypoint, there are usually some enemies nearby, because, of course, a relaxing safari experience would be too easy. These enemies can scare away your potential protein, so if you assess these enemies to be a threat, immediately show them the ladder to heaven. I usually do it regardless, but each situation and location are different. The first animals I will be hunting are called pobbers, or as I like to call them, atrocious vermin. You might have noticed that I've added a danger skill to these animals. Some of them can actually harm you, and believe me when I say that the animals in the red category are the most dangerous. You will shortly understand why. To start the hunt, you need to locate what appears to be the end product of a digestive process. With your hunting rifle in hand, this should be relatively easy. You'll see highlighted tracks appear on the ground. Follow these tracks until you reach what looks like remains of a recent meal. At this point, you should be officially terrified. Just look at the size of these pobbers compared to the remains. These creatures barely weigh a few grams, yet judging by the remains, they seem to be consuming animals 500 times their size. It's likely that this thing was a prehistoric dinosaur before it decided to meet its cute and cuddly neighbors. After you regain your courage, you need to equip the correct echo lure. In this case, you'll use the pobber's echo lure. This is also where the pheromones come into play. If you want to attract a less common breed of these rats, you can use the pheromones at this stage. I am personally using pheromones here. I know you can use them later, but it has to be before actually calling the animal. While holding the correct echo lure, press and hold the button until the call is complete. Once you hear the animal respond, you need to mimic its call. This is a good time to go into stealth mode. I usually prefer to do this later, but the trick is to be relatively quick. Position the small dot between the arrows, hold the button and move in the correct direction. If done correctly, the animal will appear nearby. Once you locate the pobbers, stay in stealth mode and take your shot. Pobbers always appear in groups of 3, so keep in mind you have 3 targets. If for some reason they see you, they will start running away. This is not great, but you can still pull off a shot or 2. One thing I haven't mentioned before is that the hunting rifle only has a 3-bullet magazine. After firing 3 times, you'll need to reload, so keep this in mind. Here I just want to say, really guys? I have a functional spaceship, yet I cannot find a way to squeeze at least 2 more bullets in the magazine. The second animal on our list is the vermin. This creature is what you get when nature tries to recreate an ant-eater from memory. Hunting the vermin is straightforward. Call it in, locate it and then take your shot. The third animal is where things get a bit tricky. This is the sucky, and as you can see, it is a bird. The challenge with this one is that it flies around. For this, I have 2 solutions. You can wait for it to land, but to do that, you need to be on the high ground. Or you can use Iwara's second ability, Navigator. This ability allows you to manually home in on the flying chicken. The fourth animal on our list is the bolarola, also known as the prickly tanky. This species is one of the most annoying to hunt due to its armored body. Shooting it from the front, back or above is pointless. Its only weak spot is its belly. Since this weak spot is close to the ground, you'll need to get creative to find a good angle to hit it. In my experience, the best approach is to find lower terrain and shoot from there. This gives you a better angle to target the bolarola's vulnerable spot. If you cannot take advantage of the lower terrain, just try to shoot it from side. If this one starts running away, chances that you will get them are very small. This is maybe obvious, but I want to point it out. The fifth animal is called Horosk. Evolution has cursed this creature so severely that I won't even bother creating my own name for it. This is the first species you can encounter that can put you down. While following its trail, you may find strategically placed stink bombs along the way. These bombs cause toxin damage and can be lethal if you don't have high health. Just like stink bombs in real life, watch your step. After locating the Hurask, you'll notice it moves underground, occasionally poking its head above the surface. After a while, they will completely emerge from the ground. This is your chance to strike. Some people say you need to hit it 3 times, but as you can see here, I put 2 rounds in it and it was asleep. If you do not want to wait, you can also shoot while it is poking its head outside. The 6th animal you can encounter in Orb Valleys is the Stower. According to those drunken stories, this beast can serve as a replacement for your average battering ram. From my personal experience, the most challenging aspect is finding the start of its trail. Apparently, they can sometimes ram you, but I don't recall having experienced that myself. Once you spotted the Stower, hit it twice and you'll be fine. The last animal you can encounter is Kubrodon. This is what happens when your incubator breaks while hatching a Kubro. It is considered to be an apex predator, but after meeting me I'd like to think otherwise. You might assume an apex predator would be dangerous, but you would be wrong. Just shoot it twice and forget it ever existed. The next location I will be moving to is the Plains of Eidolon. Luckily for us, this location has only 4 species. Keep in mind that although the location is different, the process remains the same. The first animal you will encounter on the plains is the Kuaka. They are the smallest, cutest and surprisingly most dangerous animals around. These creatures come in groups of 3 and much like the pobbers suffer from the small rodent paradox. Look at this. This is clearly a rabbit. Now look at this. These things have bones. I have never seen carrots with bones. Do you honestly think they are running away from me? They are not. They are luring me into their lair so that they could turn me into another trail starting point. Whenever you locate them, just shoot each of them once and pray they do not remember. The second animal you will encounter here is called the Kondruk, also known as Bird 2. You can deal with this one just like you dealt with Bird 1. Nothing more to say. The third animal you will encounter is the Mergu, which is also able to fly. By now, you've probably figured out my naming pattern. If you thought I named this flying animal Bird 3, you are absolutely wrong.
Yellow!
This is Bird 3 and as you can see, there is no way for me to shoot it. Believe me, I've tried. Since the name was already taken, I came up with Bird 4. No surprise there. This is one very weird animal, but since it is a bird, you know what to do by now. The last animal should be quite familiar to you, as it is the Kawat. I assume that during your gameplay you have either seen or already owned one of these specimens. However, keep in mind that these beasts are not your average house cats. They are easily the most dangerous species on the plains. They fight against the sentients and sometimes they even win. You need to shoot them once. One thing to remember is that you can only encounter Kawats during nighttime. You won't find them during the day. The last location on our safari adventure is Cambion Drift. From my experience, this location is more dangerous than the plains of Australia, and I've never been to Australia. The first animal you'll encounter in Cambion Drift is the Cryptelex, which can be described as insect rat. If there's one thing I've learned while playing Nidus, it's that these creatures are not as dangerous as they might seem. Just look at them, they're just playing. Just like all the rats, Cryptelex appear in groups of 3. Sometimes fewer than 3 may show up. I can't really confirm why this happens, but I can safely assume that someone gets eaten along the way. It doesn't change things that much, but still be on the lookout. The second species native to Cambion Drift is the Vulpaphyla. This is something you should also be familiar with. They can be dangerous, but they are mostly straightforward. Locate, aim, shoot. The third animal can also be companion. They are called Predacites. It seems that these creatures enjoy leaving their stink mines everywhere. So just like before, watch where you step. Luckily for us, either they don't do that in the orbiter or Ordis has some mad cleaning skills. Like Whoopaphilas, they can be dangerous, but they are mostly just locate, aim and shoot twice. The next animal on our list is also the last bird on our list. This is a Vikea. Unlike other birds, this one appears in groups. Now I won't lie to you, they should appear in group of 3, but sometimes I see only 2. I am not sure how many should appear. Sometimes I see more than 3 flying around, but I am pretty sure those are the random ones that appear on their own. I personally don't see this as a problem. Shoot as many of them as you can and always expect more than one. The 5th species you will find here is the Andazoa. As you can see, they come in groups and aren't really that fast. The tricky thing with these is that each one requires 2 shots, which totals 6 shots. If you want to get all 3, you will need to reload at least once. The last 2 species are different than anything else you have encountered thus far. They do not have starting trail and they cannot be lured. The only way to hunt them is to find them in the wild. The first one of these is Velocipede. The hardest part is to find them. They don't even run, and as you can see here, you can also ride them just like a drive. The last animal species can barely be called an animal species. It is called Nexifera, and I'm pretty sure it is an undercover plant. Just like velocipedes, you also have to find this one the hard way. They can only be found in caves with high ceilings. When in a cave, look for a bright green spot on the ground. This species can be found stuck to the ceiling, and its entire pattern involves dropping down violently and catching whatever is beneath it. Nexifera apparently eats cryptilics, and for some strange reason there are always a couple of cryptilics nearby. Here I have a lot of questions. Does Nexifera move? Why do cryptilics seem to want to die? The idea is to wait for a cryptilix to walk over the green spot, which will cause Nexifera to mercilessly pound the ground. This is obviously our opportunity to shoot it. The tricky part is that the only vulnerable part of Nexifera is its top. I really don't know how to describe this part of the body. If there are no cryptilics nearby, do not worry. You can always use alternative methods, such as trying to guide your companion to go over the spot, or performing a highly skilled athletic move called a dodge roll over the spot. There is one more way to shoot Nexifera, but it depends on the spot and location. You can try reaching Nexifera without waiting for it to drop down. This can sometimes work, but I think manually drawing it out is faster. Before I end this safari adventure, there are still a couple of things I want to explain and maybe answer some questions you might have. Honestly, some of these I should have said earlier. Some of you might wonder, why should you do this activity? Personally, I find the process somewhat relaxing and fun. Additionally, capturing these animals rewards you with a decent amount of standing. Sometimes there is a Nightwave task that requires animal captures. Deimos, Venus and Earth have relatively low mastery requirements, so if you are a new player, this is an easy way to earn Nightwave points. Also, as you might have noticed, capturing the animals will provide you with tags. These tags can mostly be exchanged for cosmetic items at their respective vendors. In short, it's about fun, standing, Nightwave points and cosmetics. One thing I also did not mention is the capture rating system. It is pretty straightforward. Depending on your performance, you can receive a perfect, good or bad capture rating. This depends mainly on whether the animal saw you, tried to escape, took any damage and other factors. I also want to mention that most of these animals can be found out in the open. You do not necessarily need a hunting rifle to catch them. I haven't tested everything, but as far as I know, all you need to do is put them to sleep. This can be accomplished with any sleep ability, such as Ivara's Sleep Arrow or Baruch's Lullaby. I mentioned that I personally prefer Ivara for capturing animals, but you can use any other frame. From my experience, hunting was much harder a couple of years ago, but now animals seem more courageous than I remember. I'd like to repeat the entire process because it's the most important part of this guide. So equip your rifle, find a trail, locate remains, use the correct echolure, use the lure again, locate the animal, shoot and call for recovery. I also haven't talked much about pheromones. They are used to attract less common animal variants. You can use them before or after using the lure for the first time. With that said, I will end the adventure here. I hope I covered everything. I know it might seem a bit excessive to go over every single animal, but I really wanted to provide a detailed explanation because I occasionally see people struggling and hopefully this will help. Let me know if I forgot something or you have any other suggestions.